Lexus has just unveiled the LF-Z concept, which appears to be a pretty radical new direction, an electrified direction for Lexus. But I got a couple questions, namely, where's the driver in all this? And also, how far along is Lexus really in their whole electrification strategy? Let's take a look at this concept that was released today. So this is the LF-Z. This is an electric concept, a full EV. This is not intended to be a production vehicle. They did introduce about 2 years ago a production, or rather a concept vehicle, which is, I think this is based on. So this appears to be something that is a little bit closer to what we might see in the future, but clearly this is still very much a concept. So Lexus is saying that this is an all-new electric platform. I don't know if this is based on the TNGA architecture. I suspect that it probably is. And they're talking about a Direct 4 technology, which is their all-wheel drive system. We're going to look at that in just a second. And of course, because this is a concept, we have to have AI to connect the driver and the vehicle like never before. Well, that is probably true because, at least in this concept, I don't see any buttons in this thing. It seems to be all screens, and it seems to be all future technology from some sci-fi movie like Minority Report, something like that. And they're saying it's all inspired by the single philosophy that has guided us. Our machines are an extension of human intent. I'm sensing a big conflict here between what Lexus is talking about and the reality of good driver interaction. I'm seeing a fundamental disconnect here. This is a lot of marketing. So it's kind of light on specs, and I got to admit this thing does look really quite good to my eye. They're saying it's got an all-new powertrain, and it will vastly improve acceleration compared to traditional cars. Well, that's not a big surprise because EVs can do that. It will accelerate with astonishing speed and a low center of gravity. So what is this Direct 4 technology? So what they're talking about here appears to be two electric motors, one in the front, one in the back, and they're talking about being able to independently vary the power between each individual wheel. So you should be able to, in theory, have a very good vehicle that is able to apply power quite dynamically depending on whatever the conditions are, snow, ice, rain, or just getting good traction on dry pavement. In fact, there's a little video. Let me show you a snippet of that video right here.
With Direct 4 technology, delivering power and stability when you need it, and connecting driver to the road with intuitive steer-by-wire. This is the Lexus LF-Z electrified concept. A future crafted to a level of confidence you've never felt before.
What they're talking about here is this steer-by-wire technology, and that means there's no physical connection between the steering wheel and the front wheels as you're turning them. So, I mean, right now, obviously, in most vehicles, when you get in the car, you hold the steering wheel, there's a steering column, and that is connecting to a steering rack, and you're physically turning the wheels, even if you're assisted by electric motors or, in older cars, a hydraulic system. So steer-by-wire means all you're doing is you're turning the wheel, and there's some actuators, some servos down in the steering rack which are turning the wheel for you. So this is sort of in direct conflict with a good driving experience. There's something called Lexus Driving Signature, which is very good. It's a concept that I really like. It's all about driver interaction. They introduced it with the Lexus IS350 F Sport. I made a video on that recently. Go check it out. And the steering feel is really good. But here we're talking about steering by wire. And they're saying it replaces the traditional steering mechanism and intuitively increases precision steering to match driving desires. Well, I'm sure you can get more steering precision with it, but clearly it's going to filter out 100% of the feedback. You're just not going to get the real feedback in your steering system. It is going to be able to filter out all kinds of nasty road imperfections, and it's going to be more accurate, but I see a fundamental conflict with Lexus Driving Signature. I don't really care what they're saying here in this press release. It just doesn't add up to me as being something that is really going to be a good driving experience. It just doesn't make sense to me. Now, that said, I don't think most people are really going to care that much. We've already got very numb steering feel in all kinds of different vehicles. In fact, BMW, with their early introduction of their electric steering racks, it was terrible. Terrible. The worst steering feel you could possibly imagine in the early electric racks around 2015. It's much better now. But some manufacturers are doing a very good job with electric racks, namely Honda is doing an excellent job. Porsche is doing a great job too, and the Dodge Charger Hellcat has fantastic electric steering. So it's possible to do, but steer-by-wire, yeah, I'm just not that really convinced over it. Infiniti tried to do this with, I think it was the Q50 back in 2014, and there was some recalls and nobody really liked the system. So I don't know, call me old school. I'm a person that likes to drive cars. Maybe I'm making too big a deal of this, but I just see this as something that not very appealing to me, at least. But let me put the negativity aside for a second, because there really is a lot to like about this concept. I think it's a very stunning looking vehicle, actually. So this is clearly a sort of an SUV, CUV style vehicle. It's got a really low roof line, it's low slung, it has huge wheels, which are pretty typical of a concept, and it has very strong character lines here too throughout the whole side of the vehicle. Lexus has sort of gone with the spindle style grille, and they've taken some of those elements and they've really incorporated into the design of the vehicle here. Like, I really like the side profile. You can see these character lines going from the top of the front wheel well all the way up into the window. Then you got another strong character line going right across the middle of the door, sort of ending up at the back door, and at the bottom you have another character line coming up from sort of the rocker panel up into the rear door. So it's very heavily styled, and I think it looks really, really good actually for a concept vehicle. I've got to give Lexus a lot of props for making this thing look really sharp, making it look really futuristic, and I think something that perhaps we can see some of this styling in an actual future vehicle. Now, going to the interior, going into the cabin here we can see these very simple looking seats. They look to be cloth. This is obviously all a render. This is not a real concept vehicle here in flesh and blood, so to speak. So looking at the front here, instead of the old school, or I don't know, old school, but the spindle grille, now we have something that is a solid piece. We don't need the cooling here like we do with a traditional gas-powered vehicle. 3/4 angle looks really handsome, in my opinion. We've got a steeply raked rear window, and the taillight goes all the way across the entire rear of the vehicle. That's sort of a Lexus signature thing that they're beginning to do right now, and I really do like the treatment just of the rear door flowing into the rear wheel arch there. I think it looks really sharp. There's just so much design. There's so much curves going on in this thing here. It really does have sort of a sci-fi look to it. Some very interesting LED light elements, which we'll probably never get in North America due to current regulations, which is quite annoying to me. The rear, we have sort of an interesting valence here. We have like a lot of little individual light elements going on.
The future is crafted from the unknown. Visionaries ask what it looks like, or sounds like. But Lexus asks how it will feel. A concept born of an all-new EV platform for seamless performance. With direct-4 technology, delivering power and stability when you need it, and connecting driver to the road with intuitive steer-by-wire. This is the Lexus LF-Z electrified concept. A future crafted to a level of confidence you've never felt before.
Advanced drive activated.
Partnering with you on your journey. Using advanced AI to help elevate every moment, on the road and beyond.
How many for dinner?
Just the two of us.
Setting mood to romantic.
This is what the future feels like. and the feeling is electric.
So this certainly is an interesting concept. I think what Lexus is really doing is they are signaling what is supposed to be a very big, a major transition within Lexus. Lexus obviously is a luxury brand. There's sort of the extension, the more futuristic extension, I guess, of what Toyota represents. And you know, with all these manufacturers right now, we are sort of coming up to a bit of a crossroads. There's a lot of pressure to move into the EV space, and we do have some manufacturers like Ford that is making very big investments. I think they've said they're going to make a $30 billion investment into EVs, and General Motors has committed to, I guess, getting rid of ICE vehicles by 2035, 2030, something like that. So I don't remember the exact date. So we have these very big commitments, these very big pronouncements from manufacturers, but Lexus and Toyota have actually been sort of holding off. They've sort of been hanging back on the sidelines a little bit. Now, Lexus has said they're going to introduce 20 vehicles, but I think only a handful of those in the next 5 years are going to be full battery electric vehicles. They have said they're going to introduce 2 brand new vehicles this year. We don't know if there's going to be battery electric vehicles only or hybrids, what it's going to be. And Lexus and Toyota are certainly leaders in the hybrid space. There's no question about that. They have been really making a lot of these transitional vehicles, like the Prius is the best example, and now increasingly plug-in hybrids like the RAV4 plug-in hybrid, which is a fantastic vehicle. I reviewed that recently. This is sort of the way that Lexus sees the future going right now, are these transitional vehicles. So even though this is a concept, this has clearly got some real-world technology that they're already starting to adapt, like this electrochromic roof that's on the Toyota Venza right now. It's pretty cool. You just press a button and the roof gets a lot darker. So instead of having a sunshade to pull all the way across, you can just hit a button. I'd like to see that advance a little bit more. That's a really nice technology. Ambient lighting, whatever, that's cool, I guess. And then they've got something called an e-latch and digital key. So I'm definitely sensing some vibes from Tesla, for example, with the door handles that open up. So this is supposed to open up, I guess, when you get near with your digital key. So you can give your digital key to somebody and probably define how much power they're going to get, or possibly even where they can go with this thing. So that would be kind of cool to give it to your teenagers. You can give them their digital key and they really can't do diddly with the vehicle. I think a lot of parents would be kind of happy about that. So this LFZ is certainly a beautiful concept. I think it looks fantastic. And Lexus is really trying to sort of walk a fine line here, because they have all these hybrid vehicles, which they've been very successful at. Lexus is very, very good at it, along with Toyota, obviously. But now we have this electrified future, and Toyota and Lexus don't have a fully electric vehicle yet. And we have a lot of players in the market right now, including Mustang, including Ford with the Mustang Mach-E, for example, which is quite successful. We have Kia introducing a whole slate of electric vehicles, and just a couple days ago, I saw the VW ID.4. These are full electric vehicles available for sale right now, and Toyota and Lexus have really sort of, they've said that they, in the past, they really don't believe in electrification. So they're sort of taking a very conservative approach here. It's a very Toyota, Lexus conservative approach where they're sort of holding back. And I think one of the advantages for them is they're not investing billions of dollars like Ford is, like some of these other manufacturers, at least not on the surface. They haven't announced this yet. So we are going to see these 20 new vehicles, which some of them are going to be battery electric vehicles, some of them are going to be hybrids. Some might be just ICE vehicles. One thing they are doing is they're establishing this new business and technical center. They're basically moving, as I understand it, a large percentage, or perhaps even all of Lexus and the electrification portion over to this new center in Japan to, I guess, establish this new direction. So we see this overall as like a pretty big deal for Lexus. They do need to sort of start advancing into the world of electrification a little bit more. It's a great looking concept. Not really ready for production, not really ready for prime time. We still don't have a full electric vehicle from Lexus or Toyota. So to some degree, I see this as just a lot of marketing, but they have said that they're going to offer electric variations of all of their vehicles by 2025. So that's just, 4 years away, something like that. And they want to have the sales ratio of electric vehicles exceeding gasoline vehicles by 2025. So they want to offer some kind of variation, and I'm assuming they're going to be mostly hybrids, mostly plug-in hybrids. And that, to me, is honestly not a bad path to go, because as you know, here in the US, the electric grid, the ability to charge your electric vehicle, is quite limited. It's sort of like the last mile. Getting the power from the grid into your vehicle is quite limited right now. There is a number of charging stations that are coming online. Every year we're seeing more and more of them, but Tesla right now holds the crown with their charging network, and no other manufacturer is even close to that yet. So that is the biggest challenge right now for electric vehicle adoption, is the charging infrastructure, at least in my opinion. Let me know what you think of this electric concept that Lexus has just unveiled. My name is Eric, and I will see you in the next video.